I've made close to 100 videos on this channel, and the content in most of them requires a very open mind and the ability to abandon the belief system typical for humans. Among these videos are two that describe something much weirder than the rest. One of them talks about that trees are alive, and the other one is about how I once killed a machine elf. This will be the third one. This is a description of the most expensive and the strangest matrix glitch I have ever experienced, and the best example of how machine elves have access to and can hack our reality. It is something that happened recently, and it's again about flying. For some reason, most of my synchronicities and quantum shifts I talk about here are related to planes, and I'm not really sure why. In this case, I was staying for a month with my relatives, and I was due to be back in England at the end of the month with my flight booked months in advance for the 31st. It's important to mention that all my family knew my flight date, because I always send to everybody my booking confirmation screenshot with the date in it, and we all make plans according to my flight dates. There was a lot of people involved in this, and a lot of people knew my exact return date. I fly a lot, and there was nothing out of ordinary about this flight. I did online checking as usually a few days earlier, and on the morning of the day of my departure, right before I left the house to go to the airport, I checked the itinerary one more time and I realized that I'm no longer flying out on the 31st. According to the airline's website, my flight had left a day earlier on the 30th. I immediately thought that there's some sort of an error in their system, and I checked all the other documents that I had. You can imagine my shock when I saw that every single one of the documents now showed the departure date as the 30th. I quickly started asking all my relatives to check the documents I had sent to them, and they were all showing the 30th, despite the fact that we all clearly remember this date for months being the 31st. You need to understand that I've been flying for 15 years and this has never happened to me. I'm always well organized and I'm always on time. I've never missed a bus or a train in my life, and I actually used to organize other people's journeys for a living for a few years. What happened with this flight was beyond weird. All my memories and all my arrangements were about the 31st, and there's no way this could have been the 30th because I always return on the last day of the month during those stays. To make it even weirder, I realized that for the first time ever I never received a reminder email to check in online, and there was no messages or emails about me being a no-show on the flight, which is usually a standard procedure for most airlines. Out of all the reality shifts I've ever experienced, this was a clear example of a Mandela effect, and if it hadn't been for the passport matrix glitch I experienced in Paris a decade earlier I talked about here some time ago, it could have been a really confusing and unpleasant experience. But since I knew about the unstable and shifting nature of our reality, I quickly gave up trying to find an explanation and I switched to damage control mode. I had to be back home within 48 hours, and I was forced to book a ticket for the next available flight that cost me almost $1,000. There were no other flights and I didn't have a choice. It was $1,000 I would have to lose. Being done with all the visits and meetings with my family and friends and all my stuff being packed, I didn't really have much to do, and then I remembered that I still might have a small bag of mushrooms somewhere hidden in the house I was staying in from a long time ago. I found it quickly, and it turned out that they're in perfect condition after all this time. For the whole month and a few months prior to that stay, I was very busy and I didn't really have much time to think about taking mushrooms. I wasn't also too responsive to all the signals and signs that I was seeing around me asking me to take them. Having absolutely nothing else in my schedule, I took the mushrooms that night, and I had what turned out later to be one of the most important trips of my life. I received a series of life-changing messages which I made at least 5 videos about here. I received metaphysical explanations about life struggles, death, animals, food, and a few answers to troubling and important personal issues. The most surprising part of this mushroom trip was when at the end Machine Elf said, "Now you understand why you have to pay so much money to stay one more day to get this message. Because it's important. It was for you to take mushrooms so that you have this life-changing opportunity." That's what it was, a glitch in the matrix. It turned out that this time and space interference was their job, and to this day it is the best example of Machine Elf alteration of a reality that I have ever heard of or experienced. I said many times that they don't get involved in the human world, but that was apparently an emergency and they made me talk to them even if it had to cost $1,000. I was initially angry at this amount of money I lost, but they said not to worry about this and that it should not be an issue. Given the recent announcements about everybody being upgraded to a new type of reality in our dimension, it seems that we need to re-examine our understanding of machine elves and the energy having impact on our reality. If you observe these matrix glitches and strange, unexplainable metaphysical phenomena, you need to understand that there's always a reason behind them and you should pay attention to what follows it. As I was told many times, everything here happens for a reason. We all go through financial struggles, being fired, making bad investments, or just randomly losing money for no apparent reason. As you can see, we may not understand it, but all of it is a part of a bigger plan that is supposed to help you continue on your journey. What we consider to be a loss in a metaphysical reality is a gift or a life deal amending our path, eventually leading us to our purpose in this life. Our understanding of value of money is very human, and the energy has a different system of priorities. Be open to the energy communicating with you and read these signs in a way that helps you thrive in this reality through reaching higher vibrational frequency and states of awe. Take all of these rifts in time and space continuum we all experience as a sign that you're being taken care of and that you're in divine hands. Love, 434. If you enjoyed this story and if you would like to support this channel, join Patreon or Subscribestar or donate through methods listed on the screen and in the video description. Subscribe, like, and share this video. Visit the websites of the artist and the musician I featured in this video. Leave your email address at news.b434.com. Remember about b434.com and join 434 social media on YouTube, Facebook, BitChute, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and VK. Talk to each other on Telegram, Reddit, and Discord. All links below.